For the final time this season, let's take one more trip out in the Skip Barber Race Series. Many a championship has already been wrapped up, but Adam Miles made sure to save something very special for last. Maybe it's due that the Australians deserve to race at Mount Panorama. It's the other big one this season. Up and down the mountain as she comes. It's tight to get up, and it's a huge slipstream to get down. There's no wonder Skip Barber drivers have fallen in love with this one. It beats and bruises me every time, but that's why I'm not on the track. Looking forward to seeing them run at the very least. As previously mentioned, don't quite have the live scores on me because they're actually hard to update for the effort. Tim Hendrickson long wrapped up enough points to win our usual points championship. I'm never really sure what the deal is with the season championship in iRacing because the points, they vary week to week and it's very, very, very hard to keep on top of. Adam Miles and Tim Hendrickson are out on the road again. And Adam would quite like a win on his books to finish the day. Tim, no doubt, shockingly consistent, able to rack up those points throughout. We have a field that didn't split and still went to 3.37 KSOF. Thanks to our nearly 10k season organizer Adam Miles at the front of the grid. This track is, it's uniquely terrifying. And maybe the roll bar will help us actually find out as drivers get some heat into their tyres going into their first qualifying laps. Oh, it's always a joy. It's always a joy. What is a Sunday morning? Well, they sure love it here. I have some personal affinity for Skip Barber cars, so even though this is one of my worst tracks in iRacing, I am just utter garbage in it. I cannot drive this. And yet, you know, my first proper, I've actually had 3 attempts at an iRacing account, and my first attempt was in the 2021s. You know, I was a COVID bloomer. And during then, at D, there were 2 things you did. You either did the Ferrari GT3s, if you were crazy, or you did the Skip Barber Race Series everyone told you to do. You had the one road license, and everyone raced Skip Barbers. And so it was a very unique series, because you have to imagine, well, without F4, kind of without, I don't know where, if Formula Renault 3.5 was on Cities. This was your Formula car. You didn't even have the 1600s. You didn't have anything rookie. I think I joined like as the V was introduced in that season. And so you took out a lot of people at Mount Panorama. Not Mount Panorama, in a Skip Barber car. And a lot of them were idiots. Trust me. I mean, massively popular Skip Barber Race Series, as popular as F4, produced similar results to F4. In a car that's even trickier to drive properly. But I have memories of racing around this track. This is the track where I learned not to slam the brake and steer at the same time because the car will go sideways. You could never make it down the mountain with your safety rating intact in any 600 SOF lobby to take on these things. Nowadays, Skip Barber certainly has become more niche, but it has certainly found its place as well. I remember this thing felt like it was in dire straits just a year ago, and it's not there anymore. And it's got a very, 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 very active pool of drivers that are very, very strong. And I'll happily share the car setup trick with you. Something to do with the tyre pressures. I don't have it on top of my head because every time I drive these, I sort of like end it up in the nearest wall, quite frankly. I also remember Interlagos. Nobody could do the Senna S's at Interlagos. We haven't seen that this season, but that's a great track that comes around time after time after time. So we might one day get to see her again. We're just watching Adam Miles sort of run around track. Unfortunately, the laps here are very, very long. Not too long to split the qualifying, but certainly a little bit too long to have an absolute flurry of activity. I will spotlight Oriol Serrat. I think had an oopsie. Not sure that's how that corner is taken, and I'm no expert, but a lot of the corners at the top of that hill just sort of take you by surprise. Tim Hendrickson with the fastest lap so far. They all flooded in at once. cannot deal with lone qualifying out there. Cannot deal with it. First lap around, looks like Tim Hendrickson. Fastest, Adam Miles jumps in place instead. Neil Gardner sits in third. One more run of it. Let's go on board with Tim Hendrickson. Let's see a little bit about how this sausage is made. Very slowly, scarily, and precariously, I think you'll find. That's how my overlays look. But even italicize them. Can't even be seen. Caught it before the end of quali. Never say I'm a fully polished product, kids. Never say I'm a fully polished product. Adam Miles currently fastest with Tim Hendrickson in P2. Catching him flying down. You're at the seat of your pants on each of these jumps over here. All the corners have names, and I'm sure I'll get some of them right throughout here. This is just generally the S's and the dipper, isn't it? That's right. The Australians that I race for would be very, very proud. This is going to be the spot of some crazy draft trains heading into the Concorde. Down the Concorde straight into the chase. I hope he has the time to finish a lap. If Tim doesn't, no one does. Really stressing those engines to the max. You're only really 130 is a privilege in these things. Who will miss that chicane and fly over it? Looks like we will just about finish this qualifying lap. Going to be another flood of times, unfortunately, and only really get to see one at a time means we don't. Just going to have to get our own figure on what's going on. As they're going to flood in and make this overlay shuffle a million times around. Tim Hendrickson, fastest for now. Adam Miles doesn't look like... Adam Miles comes a bit later. Dean Decker in P2 with the 32-1. Adam Miles jumps again. Neil Gardner is able to hold up fourth, and that's the end of qualifying. Lone qualifying is the best way to organise it and the worst way to watch it. I see why some people just like wait for lone qualifying to end and jump right in. Like, easy. Our final grid of the season puts Tim Hendrickson in pole position. Did that render properly? I can see it didn't. Oh, 1 second. I'm being tricked at the last second here. I'm being tricked at the last second. We can fix this. We have the technology. Thank you for breaking on me at the last second. Tim Hendrickson in P1 with Adam Miles in P2. Let's go as quickly as we can. Dean Decker in P3 with Neil Gardner in 4th. Ryan Chenoweth in 6th with Vasco Zawalski in 6th. Daniel Atoga sits next to Joachim Osbeck on the next row. 5th row, David Kennedy and Chris Wayne. Peter Saponki next to Philip Hambley. I'll be told there's a clown team in around here somewhere. Nathan Burney sits next to Brendan McDonough. Michael McCarbe sits next to Simon Wareham. I'm going to go with Wareham. Christopher Rule near the back now with Jerne Zorek. Oriel Serrat in 19th with Jason Willman in 20. And I think we go down to 22 or 23 around here. Aaron Gilbert next to Jose Pina. Looks like that's the end of the road of drivers. And thank you, Adam Miles, for taking your time to hit the grid, because sometimes things break. You can do this, NDI. No big deal. We still have an overlay. Almost all drivers hit the grid now. A P3 just waiting out for, and then we get to fly one last green flag of the season. The lights are red. Tim Hendrickson out in front, and the lights are out. And away we go. Slow start off the line. I think we're all going to get into single file, ready to approach this, one of our longer races of the season. And there's going to be a lot of chances to make your moves on people. So we're going to be patient, I think. We're going to be patient. Drivers now fly through into Griffins and the cutting. I don't have a reference to my side. I remembered all of this. I believe I should have the overlay working. Took a second. Thank you very much, Peter van den Noord. Crazy bugs. NDI just breaks on you at the last second and everything falls apart. All single file for now. A bit of a wall hit there from what looks like Daniel Atoga's the black car. Has a little bit of tap of the rear wall, but he picks it up and recovers it. Flying back down the hill now. Not going to see major movement for a while, I think, on this pack. They like to keep it together until they need to make it count. Spotting a new car, though, Dan Decker. And there's nothing quite like seeing a Red Bull-flavoured Skip Barber car in your mirror. Now, how big are these runs are going to get? Even if drivers don't take them, this will be indicative of things to come. Going to be big outbraking going on into the chase. Side by side, Adam Miles already ready to make the first one happen. We might be just trading draft a little bit every lap. And it looks like Tim Hendrickson's going to let that one fall in line and let that game get played. Only really the top two here making their run. Decker just off the back. Almost around the outside. Not quite nailed. Don't see any major wrecks kicking off in the first lap from the back of the pack either. We've all kept it quite sane and quite together. Although Jason Willman and Oriel Serrett have a black flag to serve, I will presume that's for jumping the start. About the only way you can get a black flag on a race start like this. Side by side. Adam and Tim know what's good for them, and one thing they know that is good for them is letting that first place trade hands whenever they need to do it. We wide further behind. Hendrickson reclaims at first position. Further back, Nathan Burney here. Going a bit 2-3 wide trading places. Simon Wareham also beating up Michael McCarbe. Lots going on in this grid. I think drivers are going to very much stick together. Very, very close. Very, very personal. So we'll see positions shuffle up and down a little bit. And we'll only really see the real nature of it play out near the end. The speed cam almost makes them look like positively quaint in terms of their high speed. Almost. The only thing scary than going down this mountain in a Skip Barber car is going down them in first person. I do see an incident. That's Peter Sapanki. Could it be oversteer or could it be contact? That chicane comes at you and the curb got him. Oh, that's a nasty crunch against the wall. He has towed to the pits to avoid a dangerous rejoin. Back down the straight into the chase chicane, and our P1 has been traded yet again. Really, the game here between Adam and Tim is to keep Dan Decker out of the state of play. If they don't invite a third into their party, it becomes potentially a lot easier. And we don't quite know Dan Decker's proclivity right now. Not to ascribe any ill intent. I've missed seeing Neil Gardner's car at the top. I really, really have. Brian Chenoweth with the fast slap. Him and the Toga have very much been passengers to what has gone on. So if we can't see a season locked in here, what can we get? Well, looking at the grid, Ryan Chenoweth didn't manage to win a single race all season. Neither did Daniel Toga. They've been such main characters, you would have thought they have. They could take advantage of situations to get there. Same with Neil Gardner, who had a string of finishes out of the top 10, 2 in a row. He's right where he wants to be right now to hopefully reclaim something a little bit better. That car has always been one of the most striking on the grid. And I think he knows exactly what he's doing. This pack goes up to about David Kennedy, if you include Osbeck and Kennedy. And I'm going to, because then Chris Wayne is 2 seconds back. Journey is 1 second back from that, and then he runs his own pack. And then back there, there's a loss stringing out Christopher Rules, like 7 seconds back on Aaron Gilbert, for instance. So really, we've already quite split it up. Pace differences become the absolute king around here. Will they let Dan Decker into the party this time? The longer this top 2 can refuse to leave the rest out, the better it will go for them. And who will side draft the other over the finish line? Who knows? I see Neil Gardner's going side by side though. Potentially playing the same game. He's going to take the P3 for now, whereas Adam Miles takes the P1. Season 2 schedule for the Skip Barber Race Series is going to be a joy to drive, I'll tell you that. We have Brands Hatch, which I will never stop glazing. It's not going to happen. Don't try and make me stop doing it. We got a street circuit vote. Belle Isle was the selected one. I think I voted for Long Beach, but I'll take anything. I'm waiting for Chicago to hit the schedule. Sonoma, Sachsenring, which is a lot of fun. Road Atlanta, Okayama, VIR, Grand Course. Some great surprises for these drivers going into next season. And some old favourites as well. I won't be here to bring them to you, although I strongly suggest looking up joining the community to work out where you'll get to watch it next. But for all those who will race it, I hope they're looking forward to some of the treats on there. Tim almost looking to try and make a move at the top of the mountain here. Hasn't quite been cleared, and in fact Neil Gardner wants to strike right at the heart of his rivals. Oh, and Daniel Toga. Talk about some people who will force their way into this draft train when it happens. Dan Decker lost out a lot of places because he didn't want to force his way in. Now that is a top 5 of drivers that you very much see here very, very often. Through we fly, Adam Miles might get taken by Hendrickson here, and what happens behind? Does Daniel Toga play the same game with Gardner? Is he let through into the party? I don't think so. He's going to be made to work for it. Top 2 not really able to break away. Christopher Rule dropped back a bit. I wondered if something happened there in the field. Now, Dan Decker needs to keep it together, internet-wise. Oh, I'll add that on top. I'll add that on top. We're on that 5 out of 10. Sometimes It's a burn of the slow variety. David Kennedy with our fastest lap. Where's David Kennedy? At the very back of this train, in fact. You never really want to be this far back, because much like a race at Daytona, you never really know what's going to happen. Anything could. Pass being done down the first straight. You'd think almost a chance at calamity, not quite going to happen. Little bit of smoke out from Adam. All is good and peaceful in the world. Oh, Decker's not out of this, though. Saw him kind of trying to sneak his little nose out. Was that a toga making the pass that he loves to make? About to hit the halfway mark. And approximately 14 minutes to go at that. And you can already see drivers are definitely, they're doing their thing. They're getting a little bit out of lane. If I could have like an epic graphic for it's crazy time, which is the proclivity of the Skip Barber drivers. You can just see that slip as they just fly mid-air down the hill. We're going airborne, baby. 9 ducks in a row. Where will they end up out? Down this train. It's all fun and games until someone wants to break the train. It's all fun and games. We are 3 wide. Neil Gardner's done with it. He's slingshotted right on through. We're 2 on 2. And Neil Gardner might be able to clear out Miles. It's going to be tricky. He has got it done. The 11 there, David Kennedy. I'm not sure what he's dived to the pits for there, because there is no flag on that. That's not a very useful angle, iRacing. Gonna say that didn't help. And move on. So Gardner has decided he definitely wants to win now. We're halfway through. And he's made his first big move up the road. Possibly looking to hold on to race lead. It wasn't given to him there. Quite a bit of toe braking from Tim Hendrickson. But it's been given up, and in fact, Hendrickson might lose more out of Miles, and even a toga taking places from him here. He's just been dumped at the back of a long queue, and Daniel Atoka's ended up right where he wants to be. Both him and Gardner would love a win. I just hear the bumps of those cars. Their suspension just sort of like battering and bruising themselves. Somebody put trees in the way of my blimp. A lot of this track is where a lot of the action doesn't happen up here, but you still have to have some nerves to get it done and keep it going around here. And your reward is getting to play into the chase. So Neil Gardner and Atoga, the real winners so far in this lead pack. In terms of just how much they've made up from the start. Atoga wants to make that 3 wide. He might just. Almost 4. Hendrickson wanted that one too. And it's Atoga that claims a new race lead. Gardner shuffle to the back. This says it's anyone's game in this lead pack, to be honest. Too wide. Toga holds lead. Never a driver to give up an opportunity this season. We're going 3 wide down, start, finish 2. Hendrickson reminding us whose territory this is. Gardner just shuffled right back in line. As Ryan Chinoweth now takes that play. Show me again. Gardner just feels like he gets sort of mugged here. Ooh. Oh! We didn't catch that in the back. Which car was... I saw that. That's the car of Vasco Savoski. Tipped up and around in probably one of the craziest Constantinas I've seen at that track. That was very strange. Well, that dumps him out of the pack. So there were 7. Neil Gardner shuffled all the way to the back of the road. But a lot can move when you have the proclivity to make it so. Crazy thing about lobbies like this is that Daniel Atoga has sort of the I rating of one of the strongest drivers in any lobby other than today's. Talk about an SOF, kids. Adam Miles will lose actually quite a lot if he finishes P3 because I rating is so cruel. And getting 10k is already virtually impossible in things like sports car, and in Formula it's even trickier. But he certainly won't make it today, but that's a crown he's very much looking to try and claim at one point. Possibly a life goal. Genoa side by side. Not sure Adams quite so willing to let this one up, though. And gives an outbreak there into the chase. Kind of remembered some corner names easier than others. Don Decker's not off the rear at all. He's done with being taken advantage of, but he doesn't get the nose in. 3 to go, and you could feel the pressure in the cooker increasing every lap. I think the drivers here are just addicted to it. And that's okay. We're all addicted to some things in iRacing. Didn't have to say it was a bad thing. Although if you're amazing at this, may I suggest Draftmaster? iRacing won't let Adam put them at Talladega. I know they won't. But they should consider it. Over the hill and far away, and Ryan Chinoweth right in the wall. I think a small mistake up the hill just saw him eat that wall. Oh, it's so easy to lock a brake and that car just isn't turning. Suspension damage might not be significant, though, given the way it sort of fixed itself. We love the miracles of technology, don't we? Top 3 kind of broken away now. Don Decker's been somewhat holding up this pack, and that's Joachim Ospek, Neil Gardner, and Ryan Chinoweth, who are going to need to very quickly make moves to join this chase for the win. Had another crunch. That's Don Decker's car. I think Don Decker absolutely crunched that wall. Oh, very much did. Which car behind? Wondering if there was contact. Nope, he did it to himself. Another incident worth catching is Jerne Zorek. Same time, same place, same thing. Easy to the meatball flag for this one. What even happened? That Whoa! Oh! Seems to have reformed on my screen, but when iRacing says there's a meatball flag, it also doesn't lie. Approaching the end with only to be 2 to go. And this top 3 have broken it away, and it could become a top 2 if Adam Miles doesn't stick perfectly on the pack with some flawless laps. Dan Decker now shuffled out of line has given this next group space to run, but they're now more than 1.8 seconds off. And Neil Gardner's chance of a win this season might have slipped out of his hands. Only 2 more attempts at these long straights, so now what happens now possibly matters, and you don't want to be the person leading into the white flag. Jenny Zoid with that meatball will definitely be able to finish. No ambiguity about it at all. Wonder if he's lost long run pace to it though. The car doesn't look undrivable. iRacing only tells me what iRacing has told me. Oh, another crunch. I heard it and I don't see the evidence. I think everybody's getting a little bit spooked in with that wall, and possibly the Australian ping is getting a little bit stuffed into that wall. Togo. Adam sits in prey. I wonder if that's intentional. Because Aunt Beatrice asked really nicely, I think I'll have to show what happened to Vasco Savoski again. Is this another incident? I'm just waiting to see what happens here. White flag in the air. It's a Vasco Savoski. This is the one. It's the clown car. We found the clown car. Vasco. No. Oh. Who knew a car could do that on the back of one? It's sort of just the brakes on this car sometimes a suggestion. And he well and truly suggested that the car should slow down, and it did not obey into a difficult pack, and that's where our clown car went. Last lap of the race. Tim leads for now. There's 3 in it to win it, and hopefully not a major incident that derails all of us. Makes us start again from the beginning. If there was, Ryan Chenoweth would take the win, but now Daniel Atoga is looking to finish the season on a win. He's been very strong, and he's P5 in this championship. Essentially locked in as it can get, without much room to improve, but what would a win do? Well, it would be nice to finish it off on. The whole pack's looking hungry for blood here. That's a big move from Dan Decker. I'm amazed he doesn't take out Ryan Chenoweth there on the inside. And Ryan brushes wide into him and walls him for it. I don't think there's any malice in any move we've seen up there, but these cars swing around, and this late into the race, there's no time to negotiate. Atoga probably doesn't want to be here right now if he wants to win this. Tim Hendrickson holds that lead. Adam Miles, whoa, what a swing! There's contact! There's more contact! Hendrickson's well and truly lost it. He's rejoined in time, but I don't know if that's enough. And he goes into the side of Miles. And Hendrickson is down. And that amazingly could have given the win to Atoga. He has done it. Daniel Atoga wins our season finale and his first win of the season, and we will be reviewing that. Always had to find a way to end in fireworks. Where did he finish? Where did our two-car finish? Tim Hendrickson finished 10th after all that. That is going to demand interrogation. You don't get away from us that easily. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. That was silly of me. Here we go. Here we go. Why did they put the back to start button right next to it? We're going to catch this whole exchange here. What an explosive way, just from the chopper. What an explosive way to finish. You almost thought there's no way that Atoga holds that P1 with Hendrickson on his back. There's only one way he could have held that P1. And that was from something happening. Let's review it. Toga has been touched plenty of other cars this season. Toga goes to the repass. There's Adam Miles sending it super wide onto the grass. Toga has sort of moved into that space, and now at high speed, everyone's a passenger. Hendrickson's doing a great job of trying to save that car. Trying to keep it in place. But at this point, there's still no grip. He's still out of control. He's into the side of Miles. Miles saves it. That's the end of Hendrickson's road. Listen, he's a season champion. So, no matter what, might just have to take that one in stride. Well, I love giving the community a lot to ruminate about, though. There's nothing quite like it. That's the end of our race. And with that, let's just very quickly get some results up before I give you some parting words, because that sure is a way to finish a race. A great way, an exciting way, a crazy way. Daniel Atoga wins. First win of the season, next to Ryan Chenoweth and Adam Miles. Don Decker finishes 4th with Neil Gardner in 5th. Joachim Osbeck in 6th with Chris Wayne in 7th. Beating out Nathan Verney, Jerne Zorik and Tim Hendrickson, sent to the back at the last second possible. Michael McCarbe finishes 11th ahead of Brendan McDonough, Simon Wareham, Philip Hambley, Jose Pina, Vasco Savosky, who we saw in that crash earlier, David Kennedy, Aaron Gilbert, Jason Willman, and Oriel Serrat. This was quite a big grid, so 2 more drivers made the grid. No one DNF'd. Peter Sapanki and Christopher Rule finished off the track. As previously mentioned, I will not be returning to this series for personal reasons, largely in part of the scheduling. I've got a lot I want to get done in Season 2 in the mornings. Quite a few trips I really want to make that are going to eat up Sundays. And Sunday mornings are certainly a time. But I've done it a whole season, and it's been an absolute joy, and it's been an absolute privilege. And I'd like to thank everybody who provided any support along the way, emotional or otherwise, to help bring this show together. The community are putting in some great work in order to get a race going and get a broadcast going again. And I wish them the best in all of their efforts. They've certainly raised a whole lot of money to get it done. So I dig that for them. Feel free to look up and join. You can find them on the iRacing forums, the Skip Barber and FF1600 community on the iRacing forum under Skip Barber and FF1600. They share a Discord server where you can get in contact with everybody in this race, plus plenty more on the other time slots, and be the first to know about future plans for the series, of course. They're going to have a healthy long road ahead of them, and I wish them the very best for it, as I wish you the very best at the end of this roller coaster of a season. Thank you so much, and